Hello, everyone out there on YouTube. It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. And I'm also about to go live on Instagram as well. So just give me one moment. Give me one moment. I don't know why I always open up one and then have to get the other one together, but just give me one moment. And hold on a second. Where are we? One moment, people. I really want to oh well. Okay, so I really should be doing this in my other page, The Body Scientist 81, but I'm doing it here. So give me a moment. Take my glasses off, they're crooked. Okay, let's go on Instagram. On Instagram at _Renaissance_Amazon. For those of you on YouTube who don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you do. And I'm also on YouTube at the Renaissance Amazon. So I'm in both places. And this video, my name is Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. This video should be on my other YouTube page and my other Instagram page, the Body Scientist 81, other YouTube. My other Instagram is the_body_scientist. So this video should probably be over there, but I'm doing it here because I have way more followers here. And this is something that I feel like you guys need to hear. Okay. So for those of you who are not completely familiar with me, I have a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science, concentration in Strength and Conditioning, a minor in sports, and then I went on to do a year and a half in a Master of Science program at Columbia University in Applied Physiology and Nutrition Education. And I have been working as a nutritionist, a sports nutritionist, since about 2004. And I'm a certified strength and conditioning coach. I'm an exercise physiologist, pole dance instructor, dancer, all those things, okay? And so for those of you who have been following my work for a while, you know that the things that I talk about with nutrition is very different than the things that you've commonly heard. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that I've never been a fan of veganism, and I talk about the propaganda, right? And what I do, I take what I do very seriously. Any time somebody comes to me because they want to improve their health or the function of their body, I take that seriously. I don't ever want to be responsible for having to retract something I said, or somebody's health condition or their body becomes worse because they followed my bad advice, because I didn't know what I was talking about. There was a time when people were telling people to eat tofu, drink soy milk. And then we realized that shit's not healthy. Now all of a sudden people have to retract that. I'm glad I never had that dirt. You know what I'm saying? So for me, everything that I say and do with my own body and with my clients, I don't experiment. I do what is proven to work over generations, okay? And when I was in graduate school, and I knew people who were really smart people who are vegans, vegetarians, and they would say certain things, and we always had a critical thinking mind. So I always questioned things, and I always needed evidence to back up what you're saying. Multiple forms of evidence. In the 7th grade, I was on the debate team, and the one thing that I remember learning about being in a debate team, which I like being on an organized debate team, not just arguing and yelling back and forth, but organized debates. The first thing you learn is research the opinions, the arguments of your opponent, okay? So for me, before I formed opinions on anything, I researched both sides. What was the vegan vegetarian side saying, and what was the other side saying, and what makes sense? What is the actual science? What is the data actually showing? Looking at it from a biological perspective, a physiological perspective, a historical perspective, a cultural perspective, epidemiological perspective, anthropological and archaeological perspectives, okay? Looking at it from all those perspectives. and not just listening to propaganda, which I feel like is becoming worse and worse as the internet, people don't read anything. Like there's certain things that I try to find, like just researching on the internet. There's so much stuff that's not on the internet. There's so much stuff that you have to read books, real deal books by real deal scholars who have real citations. And then you look at those citations and you go find these studies and you go look at the studies and you read them and you analyze them yourself. You don't look at a meme that somebody posts about healthy eating that has a salad, and it's like, and then, oh, this is healthy eating. Just because you saw that picture, you take that as fact. People post things all the time with a certain food, and they have all these claims to what it does. No way of backing that up. And if you even ask people, like, how does it do that? You're saying a mango does all this stuff. How can you, you ask people for proof, and they get mad at you, right? So I feel like in these days, the internet has everybody feeling like they are health experts, okay? Everybody thinks they're a nutrition expert. Everybody thinks they're a health expert. People want to argue all day, and it's really annoying because I feel like, I am not a car mechanic. I'm not an engineer. I don't do taxes. I'm not a computer person, right? So if I'm talking to somebody who has a degree in tax stuff, accounting, they've been an accountant for 15 years. And I sit there and start arguing with them about something in that field. They would be looking at me like, girl, you do not know what you're talking about. And why would they want to argue with me when they're like, they have a degree in accounting and they have 15 years of experience. I have none of that. So what makes me so qualified to be arguing with them? And that's what I feel like, or, you got somebody that works on computers, they're a computer programmer. If I get into an argument with somebody who works on computers, they could tell before I finish my first sentence that I don't know what I'm talking about. So if I want to keep arguing with them, they'd be like, why, you don't even know enough to talk to me about this. And I tell people stuff like that, and they get offended, they think I'm being mean, but it's true. People do not understand how to A, stay in their lane, how to B, actually be quiet and learn, do real research and stop jumping to conclusions thinking that you're an expert because you listen to some propaganda from one or two people, It's time to critically think. And this is what I present on my other YouTube page and my other Instagram page. I'm constantly about educating people, not just preaching at people about this is good, this is good, this is good. I like to back it up constantly. But not just the things that I'm saying and explaining to you, but also pointing you to books and things to look at, right? So I have an issue with the healthy food marketing because I'm really into what I eat. I'm really into what I do with my body and what I consume, all of that, right? But if you look at the Instagram pages of most trainers, you're going to see a bunch of protein powders. Anybody who knows me knows I'm completely anti-protein powder. Completely anti-protein powder. No, that shit is not good. None of those protein shakes that you get in gyms. And it's like every single person that works out a lot, you go to their house, every single person I know, they got a big old container of protein powder from GNC. That shit is unhealthy for so many reasons. Unhealthy. And I have a YouTube video about that on my page, The Body Scientist 81. One called Toxic Protein Powders that I actually filmed 5 years ago. Wow, 5 years ago in Hawaii. And then one that I did this year on the best protein shake. And I talk about the best protein shake. You can find both of those on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. For me, my approach to fitness, nutrition is not from a bodybuilding perspective because bodybuilders usually do the things that they're doing with food and workouts is not geared towards having good health and longevity. It's about a look. They manipulate it for a temporary look. It's not about health. For me, my approach to fitness and nutrition has to do with not getting cancer, living a long time and being functional, feeling good. Your sex organs still work. You can still drop it like it's hot. Your knees aren't hurting. Your back's not fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Aging gracefully, strong, having a healthy body. You know what I'm saying? And passing that on to generations. That's my approach. It's about what you can do. How healthy are you really? Because some people look great, but they're not healthy at all. And then they die young. So that's not my goal and approach to it, right? So the thing is that, you have this marketing of whenever you see something, any kind of ad, and this started from something that I posted on my Instagram page, the _body_scientist. There's a woman that I know in New Orleans who's a vegan, and she's always posting this vegan propaganda, and it drives me crazy. Because a lot of times I just try to be quiet, but sometimes I'm like, I feel like I have to say something because this is my profession. I am a nutrition educator, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people put out propaganda that poor innocent people believe, and then they go for years doing some unhealthy shit, thinking that they're doing something good for themselves, until the day they have a serious health problem. And once you've developed a serious health problem from years of eating bullshit, it's a lot bigger problem to have, when it could have been prevented if you had not been brainwashed by propaganda, whether it be from the food industry or people on the internet, right? And so I don't respect people who just put out propaganda and have their minds closed to actually doing research and finding out the facts. Because if you are influencing other people on what's healthy and stuff like that, but you don't care enough to even really do research about the facts, I don't respect that. And I don't feel like I should have to be quiet. Sometimes I'm going to say something. I might ignore that shit 9 out of 10 times, but one time I'm going to say something. And so she posted this picture that said something about eating yourself and respecting yourself and eating well or something. And it had a picture of one person whose head and body was full of like raw green vegetables and green apples and stuff. It was like fruit and vegetables, all green. The other person's body was filled with burgers, pizza, and onion rings, right? So it was really saying that like the healthy eating is all these raw vegetables and raw fruit, and somebody who's eating burgers and pizza and onion rings is not respecting themselves and eating unhealthy. And I feel like whenever there's any kind of imagery of, what's healthy eating, you always have a bunch of fruits and vegetables with no fat, okay? Because this is something I always talk about. You need fat. When you're eating fruits and vegetables, you need fat. And raw vegetables, a bunch of raw vegetables is not good for you. Vegetables need to be cooked in a fat, and if they're going to be eaten raw, they need to be fermented, okay? Because raw vegetables it's hard for us to extract nutrients, and they have the fiber in them. It's hard for us to digest because we do not have the cellulase enzyme. All cultures cooked plant foods, okay? So there's nowhere you're going to go in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in South America where you're going to go to somebody's grandmother's kitchen and they're going to come out and bring you a freaking salad, a raw salad. No, okay? And a lot of times whatever vegetable they're eating was cooked in some kind of animal fat. And the thing is that, I always say, like, there's so much, the nutrition program that I was in, it was the only nutrition program in this country that doesn't accept money from the food industry, okay? So there's a lot of people who are trained dietitians who are brainwashed by the food industry the same way the doctors are brainwashed by the drug companies, okay? And so when we get told that cholesterol is bad for us, that is not true. That is not true at all. We need to eat a high cholesterol diet, and all the stats show that people who have low cholesterol, eat low cholesterol diets, die of strokes and heart attacks a lot more frequently, and they don't live as long, okay? When you look around the world and you look at cultures that eat high cholesterol diets, they live longer, okay? And it's scientifically not true that the cholesterol you eat has nothing to do with the cholesterol that's circulating in your blood. Even what we get told, first of all, cholesterol does not cause heart attacks. That's not true. Cholesterol is actually an antioxidant. I have videos on my YouTube page where I talk about that as well, and I point people towards other things. You can, look up on YouTube the cholesterol myth, and you'll see scientists and doctors talking about the propaganda in cholesterol research just to sell high cholesterol medication to you. And then to make you think that lard is bad, so use Crisco. Butter is bad, so use margarine. And they make all these substitutes, milk substitutes, almond milk, rice milk. Like, who drinks that? Hazelnut milk. Like, no, people all around the world have drank animal milks, whether it be goat, lamb, cow, sheep. Some people consume horse's milk, camel's milk. And so people can come up with their little like propaganda statements of, oh, humans are the only ones that drink milk, blah, 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 blah. But it's like you have your propaganda statements, but then you have what several cultures have done over generations that have had healthy children, no problem, long-living, strong people and populations of people who didn't have a problem with cancer, didn't have a problem with heart disease, didn't have bad eyesight, wasn't all sickly with all this shit, okay? And people ate what was around them. They had to eat what was in their local environment. Now we get stuff shipped from all across the world. It's out of season. That's a place of privilege, and it's bad for the environment. You know, when you're consuming raw dairy, it's something I talk about all the time, raw grass-fed milk. Raw grass-fed milk is not the same thing as homogenized pasteurized milk from the commercial food industry that you get from the regular supermarket. That milk is bad for you, but when you have raw grass-fed milk from a healthy cow that was outside eating grass, getting sunlight, totally different composition. That milk is high in some of the best fats to help you build muscle, help you burn fat. That's just important for your brain. And then you have a good source of vitamin A and vitamin D, which you need together. You have a huge source of calcium, you know, probiotics, a whole bunch of enzymes, lipase, lactase, amylase. You know what I'm saying? That is something totally different than homogenized pasteurized milk from sick cows. And you can get these kinds of foods. And this is what I do with my clients and I educate people. And this is the kind of stuff that you can get from my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. The marketing is really annoying. And see, there's a bunch of books. I'm just going to say this and in this conversation. I always like to refer books and stuff like that. And I've talked about some of these books before. This book right here is called, because a lot of people be reading books, but a lot of y'all are reading propaganda, okay? You need to also look at who writes the books. Even if somebody claims to be self-taught, it's like you still have to learn from someone, okay? You have to have some type of qualified apprentice or something, you know, because otherwise you could be making shit up. All right. So this book, Food Politics by Marion Nestle. I've talked about this book before. I posted it on my Instagram. Very important book. Written by a professor at NYU. I read this when I was in graduate school many years ago. And this is Food Politics, How the Food Industry Influences Nutrition and Health, okay? So again, a lot of what we get told about food, you know, this whole non-fat, animal fat is bad for you, butter is bad for you, cholesterol is bad for you, all that stuff is coming from food politics and industry to sell you more products, to sell you more drugs, and to sell you more food products, okay? And this is a well-documented, okay? Well-documented, you know? So that's one book to highly look at. Then you have this book by Mike Adams called Food Forensics, okay? Food Forensics. Food Forensics, the hidden toxins lurking in your food and how you can avoid them for lifelong health. This book is good because it talks about a lot of additives, like almost everybody I know who thinks they eat so healthy, when I look at what they're eating, they eat stuff with all these fucking additives, you know? Even doctors I know with like degrees in chemistry, you know, they're eating toxic shit. They're eating yogurt with a whole bunch of additives, ice cream with a whole bunch of additives, guar gum, carrageenan. Everybody thinks that's okay. It's not okay, okay? Then there's this book, The Raw Milk Revolution. The Raw Milk Revolution. Behind America's emerging battle over food rights, right? Now, this, again, is dealing a lot with politics. A lot of people don't understand how much politics is involved in our access to good, healthy, wholesome food. I've been drinking raw milk for over a decade. I have drank raw milk in New York. I get it in Illinois, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Florida, in California. I'm trying to think. Have had in Seattle. I'm not sure. I've gotten it in D.C., Maryland, Ohio. And when I first started drinking raw milk, I don't remember when I started drinking it. It could have been 2007. Definitely 2008. I'm not sure when I started, right? But back then, everywhere I went, I would find raw milk. And the laws were different in every state, and it was really hard to find. Now raw milk is, back then it might have been legal in maybe like 24 of our 50 states. Now I think it's legal in all states except for 4. And Louisiana is one of them, where I've never been able to ever know anyone that could find raw milk in Louisiana. They have to go to Mississippi. Now, raw milk is a superfood, and I have a video, 2 videos about this on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. A lot of people cringe at the thought of raw milk and stuff, and I'm going to do some longer videos on it. But raw milk is a medicine, and there are Africans. I know a lot of Africans, different parts of Africa, who grew up drinking raw milk. You know, the Maasai, actually, but there's different parts of Africa were drinking raw milk. One of my, somebody I know was telling me that in Mongolia, their diet is basically raw milk and vodka, but it was like, I don't even say it was horse's milk. I don't know, like raw milk, vodka, and like something else. So that's like all they eat. So, and even in Colombia, which I love, cheeses, Colombia loves cheese. But raw dairy from healthy cows is a medicine. It's totally different. I'm not talking about the milk from the commercial food industry that you just buy in the supermarket that's homogenized and pasteurized. That is not, okay? And as a nutritionist, I've had many clients who cringe at the thought of raw milk, and then when they drank it, I've never known a single person who didn't love it, a single person. And to all my longtime followers who might have consumed raw milk or who may have been consuming it for years, please feel free to write your comments below my YouTube page. And also on this YouTube video, and also be sure to follow me at The Body Scientist 81, because I go in with all this nerdy stuff. And a lot of people, there's people who've been following me for years who know about these things that I speak about when it comes to nutrition, but there are a lot of people who don't, you know, they're too busy watching me dancing all the time. You don't hear the words that I'm saying. And then I'm always saying, I'm only going to get better with age. I have not reached my peak. I always tell people, wait till you see when I'm 50. Just wait, you know. And it's from years. When I was 18, I promised myself to dedicate myself to doing all that I could to stay as healthy as possible, age as gracefully as possible. And the foods that I eat, I've never been a vegetarian. I've never been a vegan. I've never promoted anybody to do that. And from what I've seen in my own life, the people I've known that have steadfast up to that, I see a lot of people die young doing that kind of thing, you know. And when you look at longevity, the people in the world who live the longest, they're never that. You know what I'm saying? Every time you look at the oldest person in the world, who is the oldest person in the world and what do they eat? They never are vegan or vegetarian, and they always say they ate pork. Okay, another thing, pork is a demonized food. It's also very healthy, of course, as long as you're getting it from healthy pigs. But when I talk about food, whether it's plants or animals, I'm never talking about food from the commercial food industry, because all of it's toxic, whether it's plants or animals. If you're getting pigs, healthy pigs from a farm, that are outside eating what they eat, then it's actually very healthy. It's a very good source of vitamin D. The fat is a very good source of vitamin D. It's very much like similar to olive oil. It's good fat to fry in. And it's a traditional fat around the world. The Okinawa in Japan, who are the longest living, healthiest people in the world, they cook with lard every day. They use pork broth. All you see in Asia, Korea, Japan, like pork, pork, pork. You know, you go to Cuba, Haiti, you know, Mexico, all throughout South America, even in Jamaica, the American South. You go to the Polynesian Islands, you go to Spain, France, Italy, pork, pork, and more pork. The only place you don't see that is Muslim countries. But if they're not Muslim, then they eat pork, okay? Now, I don't let religion guide what I eat. I let facts guide what I eat and what has shown to work over time. This doesn't mean that you have to eat pork, but it also doesn't mean that the propaganda about pork being so bad for you is true, because it's not. And there's lots of stats and things to show that. And I did a video on that in the past that got deleted with an old YouTube video, an old YouTube page that got deleted, and I will do another one soon about that. I actually have this book, and I'll try to put some links below my YouTube page. But this book is called High on the Hog, right? I don't know if you can see it. High on the Hog, A Culinary Journey from Africa to America, by Jessica B. Harris, right? And hog was very important to Afro-Americans, not just Afro-Americans, but also to Black people all throughout the Americas, like I just listed, Cuba, Haiti, blah, 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 blah. And look, I opened it up to something talking about Cuba. But one of my Nigerian friends even said to me, Afro-Americans, and when he said Afro-Americans, he didn't just mean North America. He meant all the Americans, you know, should be thankful to the pig, because without the pig, we would have starved. Like, the pig was very important to us, you know. And so there's a lot of propaganda. Like even in my own family, there's people who live 95 plus, they all ate pork. When I've seen interviews with the oldest people in the world, and they say, what did they eat? They always say they ate bacon. They always say they had a shot of whiskey every day. They never say that they were sitting around drinking green juice and eating salad. Because actually, salad, raw vegetables, like I said, is not good for you. Eating a bunch of cruciferous vegetables is not good for you. Raw spinach, raw kale, no. And when you do eat vegetables, like you want to cook like spinach, you want to cook it in a lot of butter. You want to, like potatoes and stuff like that have to be cooked. We need the fat because the fat helps you extract the minerals out of it, you know. And there is no vitamin A in spinach or fruits and vegetables, but there's beta carotene. And beta carotene is somebody with a really efficient immune system, not elderly, not children, and not anybody with metabolic issues, but somebody with efficient metabolism. If you have a lot of saturated fat with the beta carotene, then the body can make it into vitamin A, you know, with a lot of beta carotene and saturated fat. But you need that saturated fat. And then the saturated fat also helps to not let your blood sugar level spike so much. So if you're eating fruit, you know, like I always talk about how in Latin America they have batidos or licuados, which I love, which are fruit and milk shakes that they make with fruit and with milk. The milk helps your blood sugar levels not to spike crazy. Like if you just drink juice or just eat fruit, your blood sugar levels will go up. It's just sugar. But the fat helps to circumvent that. So if you're eating berries and cream, peaches and cream, bananas and cream, or with yogurt, or with my favorite ice cream, all of that helps your blood sugar levels not to spike. Blood sugar levels going up and spiking is what causes so many issues. That is the issue behind diabetes, the issue behind cancer, the issue behind inflammation. Okay, it's that. That and rancid vegetable oils. You know, people should be cooking in duck fat, grass-fed butter. Grass-fed butter is one of the healthiest things that you can consume. Everybody should be consuming lots of grass-fed butter all the time. And I'm going to do a video just on grass-fed butter and why it's like the perfect fat. And I'm going to get into my nerdiness about this because these are things that I've been studying for a long time. I know well, and I don't come with propaganda. I'm not coming with propaganda from religion. I'm not coming with propaganda from some cult group that I decided to join. I'm not coming with propaganda from school because, like I told you, yes, I do have an education and a scientific background, but a lot of what I learned and didn't learn in school, and I also was in a program that wasn't funded by the food industry that opened my eyes to a lot of things, okay? And so definitely check out my videos in the Body Scientist 81 because as a sports nutritionist as well, the things I say about protein powders, the things I say about hydration, you know, I'm not one to promote Gatorade and Powerade and all of that toxic cancer-causing shit, okay? So definitely check that out. And then, oh, there's one more book, which I've talked about in my GMO video on my page. This is called Altered Genes, Twisted Truth, right? How the venture to genetically engineer our food has subverted science, corrupted governments, and systematically deceived the public. Now, I started off as a biotechnology major at first. And when I was in high school, I was reading this book called The Biotech Century. That was just basically in the 90s, this book was talking about how everything's going to be genetically modified, you know, including our food. And I didn't see an issue with that back then because I just had a science brain. And it wasn't until I got to graduate school that I started to be exposed to studies and things that showed that GMO foods have the potential to cause serious problems, and it's not been studied. And they were genetically modifying the fruits and vegetables way before they started messing with the animals. So when people decide that they're going to stop eating animal foods because the commercial food industry mistreats a few chickens, pigs, and cows, so that's going to make you become a complete vegan, that doesn't make any sense. Because the commercial food industry is doing even more shit to the plants. And the thing is that no matter what the commercial food industry does, there's still such thing as nutrition. There's still such thing as nutrients that you need, and there are the best sources of those nutrients. We cannot get all of our nutrients from plants. We are not herbivores. We are omnivores, okay? And since the beginning of time, I don't care where you look at on the globe, people ate a wide variety of different things depending on where they descended from on the globe, what was around them. But nobody was a vegan. Okay, nobody did that. This is some new age shit, people experimenting, and nobody's really going to know how much it works until they, you know, raise their vegan baby and their vegan child grows up and has a kid of their own, and they have, by the time you get to the third generation, because now you have people who are raising vegan babies, but they themselves may not have been a vegan in the womb. But let's see somebody who has been a vegan since the womb, grows up like that, or let's say someone who's been a vegan since the womb, who's raised by a vegan parent, actually, even. Because nutritional depletion happens over generations. Like, you could become a vegan, but your parents were eating liver and brains and eyeballs and eating the bone marrow, and that's what your parents and your grandparents were eating. So you decided to become a vegan, and you seem fine because you got the nutritional stores from your parents and your grandparents, But the more that goes on, if that nutritional store is being depleted, you're going to start to see more and more issues. And we're already seeing tons of issues separate from veganism, just from eating processed foods. Already seeing tons of deficiencies. Like 20 years ago, people were saying girls look grown for their age. Now, I feel like a lot of kids look young for their age. When I'm looking at all these college campuses, like even HBCUs, a lot of people look underdeveloped. They don't look as grown and attractive as they did when I was in college. And a lot of people who are supposed to be college students look like they're in junior high school to me. So there's a lot of underdevelopment from consuming too much vegetable oils, people thinking animal fats is bad, people thinking organ meats is bad. When all around the world, you consistently saw people eating those same things. Organ meats, blood sausages, a lot of people in the world eat insects. Raw dairy, bone broth, fermented foods, they cook their vegetables. And all groups had some kind of raw animal foods, whether it be raw meat, raw fish, raw eggs. It could have been raw dairy, raw cheeses. You saw that. And the plant foods are really cooked. So I just wanted to give you guys some books to take a look at. Another book is Real Food by Nina Plank. And definitely check out Sally Fallon, who I talk about all the time. Sally Fallon. You can find her on YouTube and all the books that she's written as well. She's a must. Sally Fallon and the Weston A. Price Foundation. So these are all things I'm encouraging you all to look at so you can educate yourself. But make sure that you follow me at The Body Scientist 81 on YouTube. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at _body_scientist, because I post different things in both places, and I like to educate people on the trickery of the food industry so you yourself know how to navigate. Because the food industry does a very good job of marketing. And like I said, don't respect individuals who like to post these memes, this marketing shit, and this that's like every single time you see health food or healthy eating or healthy snacks, they always got some goddamn raw vegetables. They don't ever have some liver pate, because that's actually very good for you. They don't have raw cheeses, raw aged cheese, that's a superfood. They don't have some boiled eggs or some eggs cooked in a lot of butter. Those are healthy snacks, okay? Or some sourdough bread with lots of butter, or some type of, I don't know if sourdough crackers exist with fish eggs, roe and stuff like that, which is highly nutritious, or French fries, because fried food is not bad depending on the kind of fat it's fried in. If you fry your French fries in duck fat, which is yummy, or even bacon fat or lard, because bacon fat and lard is very good for you when it comes from healthy pigs. What's not healthy is cooking French fries in soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, safflower oil. That shit is not healthy. And so there's a lot of propaganda around what's healthy, okay? And so this is what my life's mission. Sometimes I wish I could just be with the bullshit, but I'm not. So if you really want to learn how to be healthy, if you really want to learn the truth, if you're really ready to learn the truth and dig deeper and not just jump into the easy propaganda, then definitely make sure you follow me on YouTube at The Body Scientist 81, and make sure you follow me on Instagram at _body_scientist. Thanks for listening, and I'm always available to work with clients. I do in-depth evaluations and shorter ones. You can definitely email me at thebodyscientist81@gmail.com. Okay? Have a good day. Bye, people.